Okay, so I came across this Yolov4 DeepSOrt, right? So DeepSOrt is basically uh, simple online and real-time tracking with a deep association metric. Okay, so what he's going to do is using Yulo V4 and DeepSOrt and TensorFlow. mm, there is going to be object identifier, so which will basically identify that it's a person, or there are a couple of persons over here. And also there will be tracking, so there'll be object tracker in the sense you end up labeling different cars as different numbers, so it says car 8, car 9, car 14, car 20, right? So uh, it ends up tracking that particular object through that couple of frames of that video. And what this can be used for is, let's say, you want to track a particular vehicle, a particular truck carrying some construction material over different checkpoints or something like that, right? So this kind of a setup will help you do that for a commercial vehicle tracking system or something like that. So that is what I'm trying to achieve. And this is the video. So it's the AI guy, and the video is from August 19th, 2020. And there could be certain challenges. So like I was trying to take the shortcut wherein he suggests that you go ahead and install everything using the Conda YAML in place of the Conda GPU YAML file, in place of doing a pip. Uh, so that one broke because there's this 2.3 which it is unable to find. So 2.30 is not there. So 2.31 is there. 2.30 is there, but I don't know. He's probably got this. Maybe that's error or whatever. But okay. So any which ways, going with TensorFlow GPU, the latest version. I've always had challenges with TensorFlow working with GPU. So I have PyTorch working with GPU. I have YOLO working with GPU on the system. But TensorFlow does not work with my GPU, at least. I'm pretty much sure of that. Right, but let me try. So maybe today I can make it work. Otherwise, I'll have to abandon this and maybe look at something else. So let's see. We'll keep on seeing that for now. Created own requirements file, and okay, so TensorFlow, TensorBoard, all this is here, and TensorFlow GPU 2.80 is what has come through, and he had recommended 2.3, so that might be the only difference. Besides that, I think we are okay. And within the data there, got these weights. One is 246 MB and one is 24 MB, right? So that is what is when we say it is light. Okay. Now the next is to okay. So this is one library he's using. I haven't seen this earlier. Flags. So absolute is it absolute flags? Seems that way, right? I don't know. Absolute dot flags. And this is the example usage. So import app, import flags. Flags dot flags. Okay. Flag names are globally defined. So in general, mm, to pick names that are uniquely okay. Yes, I'm not very sure how this is better than argparse right now, because argparse is what I'm kind of used to, but that's okay. So he's using flags. So flags is what it is. So the structure is very similar to argparse, right? So in place of how we define, so this is probably getting everything done in a single line, which is okay. We'll get used to. So here he's referring to this utils module, which he's written in the core directory. So within core, he's got utils, and he's called that over there as utils in place of core utils. Okay. So then within this, load config and then flags. So load config. load weights, load freeze layer, load config. Okay, load config and then flags. So this he's called over here. Uh, and from that he's getting strides, anchors, num classes, and XY scale. So okay, strides, anchors, XY scale, strides, XY scale, and num class. So first let's see num class. What is that? So length, read class names, YOLO classes. Okay. Where is okay? Read class names. Then from configuration, YOLO classes. Okay, so how many classes are there basically? And then strides. Okay, again config YOLO strides tiny. And if a flag is not tiny, then you have YOLO strides. Okay. Mm, Fine. So he's getting all the inputs from here and he's passing them here. So as let's say he's not put the parameters here, so he's got it from the config, which is okay. Then input layer tf.keras. Okay, layers input size, and okay, so input size would be like say 64 into 64, so maybe something like that. And three presuming would be channels. Okay, but I don't see any channel here, and my Keras and TensorFlow is obviously very rudimentary. Uh, PyTorch or maybe YOLO, I could still maybe take a guess, but over here this doesn't seem to be right now. So input size, and three. So I'm not even sure if this is channels anymore, but that's a list which is coming through. So maybe somehow I can later on mm, print it and see. But for now, I think I'll just leave it like this, and I'll come back to this later on. I'll have to understand obviously. Okay, so then feature map from YOLO. So with this particular input layer and num class flag dot model. Okay, so flags dot model. Which flag is this? Is it this flags? So how is he how is he accessing this flags then? Yeah. So yeah, flags import flags. Uh, but then this flags has he's extracted all of this, right? So out of the utils, then how flags dot model and flags dot tiny. Mm, so tiny was here also, right? If flags dot tiny. So whenever he passes in flags as a parameter, so I think that is what it is. Yeah, load config and okay, he's got flags dot tiny here also, right? So within this flags, I think okay, so flags dot model, flags dot tiny. So within flags, it is defined that whether so let's print this out. Flags dot model. What exactly is the flags dot model? Otherwise, this will not make sense. Okay, right. And this is coming from where? From save TF. And again, to my mind, this code seemed to be okay. It's okay. It's indented properly because like day before yesterday when I was doing this, got somebody's code from GitHub. There were indentation issues. So now I have to be careful. Okay, so got all these two, three print commands in here. Things might make more sense. Okay, so this easy dict is not there, it seems. I ran this, but it says, and I saw in the requirement file also. So what I had just saved, this doesn't seem to be there. Okay, so did I get the, yeah, now it is there. Easy dict 1.9. Okay, good. So Let's see. Yet to be built, will be empty, trained to evaluate the model. Uh, Sets are not currently considered sequences, but this may change in the future. Consider avoiding using them. Return to checkpoint. Assets return to. Okay, so let's see. Did I get this file? Yeah. So lots of input to go through. Okay, and it did. So type features map class list and then model. So then there's this input layer and then convolution two dimensional, batch normalization, batch norm, and then these three seem to be okay. So obviously this is new to me, so that's why maybe, but this is obviously very similar to what we have in PyTorch, and then TensorFlow math and all of this is new to me, so I will have to understand this. Then again, con2d1, that's a second convolution layer, and batch normalization one. Okay, but before I forget, so I'll just put this up here and then yeah. So this will help me find out what is what later on. Okay. So like I was saying earlier, TensorFlow always gives me this issue with my GPU on the system. I don't know, my personal system. I don't know why. So again, that has come out here in this. So it says could not load dynamic library and then DL error, cannot open shared object file, no such file or directory, and then it gives me that there is no lib. But yes, I obviously don't have lib. So isn't this lib64 is this a symlink to this lib? Targets, it seems like a symlink to this lib, right? But then this is lib64, so does lib64 not work for it? Does it want a lib? Should I create a symlink to this one? I don't know. I don't want to mess around with that right now. So let me see. So yeah, there are issues with my setup. Obviously, this my all of this is probably not going to run on my GPU. But still, as far as this activity is concerned, so total parameters and trainable parameters and non-trainable parameters have been printed out in this summary. So which means that conversion to the TensorFlow format is done, is what he's saying over here. So I'll obviously
and just actually run the object tracker.
yeah. So that's what he says. So he says if you
So
got
this is going to
this
go ahead and, like I said,
last bit of I don't know. I think I'll let him.
Flow Lite or a TensorRT model file. I urge you to check out one of my previous videos, tutorial. You should see something like
Yeah.
this.
So he says if you see something like this, so total params, trainable params, and non-trainable parameters. So yeah, 64, 64, 66, 429, 405. I got the exact output. Yeah. So which means things are okay. So I'll just kind of continue from here.